Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have you game 1 in a best of 3 between YueJin and Nicholas Fricke. This is round 3 of the Great Paradox Tourney. So let's have a little bit of a chat about how each player got here. So YueJin, in round 1, he defeated Light Rare 2-0, quite convincingly. And then in round 2, YueJin defeated Zuko in order to move on to this series, which is, of course, the quarterfinals. Nick Fricke, on the other hand, some might say he had an easier time. He defeated Metallic Green in a 2-0 in round 1, and then in round 2, he actually got a bye. Now, the reason this happened was because there was another round 1 series that was not played. Somebody was automatically moved on from that series to round 2, where they did not play again, so Nick Fricke automatically got moved on to round 3, which is now the quarterfinal. So maybe a bit of a disparity in skill because Nicholas Fricke hasn't been tested as much, but let's hope for some even games in this best of 3 series. Now today we are going to be seeing Sainte-Mère-Église, and this is quite a nice map really for a 1 versus 1. Relatively even with the town in the middle and the open ground either side. Well, relatively open ground, especially on this top side. Maybe not so much on the bottom side unless you get past the orchards and tree lines. And we are seeing YueJin going to be playing the first Panzerner today against Nicholas Fricke's 352nd. So I believe Nicholas used the 352nd to beat his opponent in round 1. So if he can have the same success in this game, then it might work out well for him. However, one thing to note is that the first Panzerner is actually a pretty damn good counter to the 352nd because of the Cromwells. The Cromwells can take out the IG-18s and the Pak-38s very easily. There's also things like the Staghounds that we've seen used to great effect that can definitely overrun some of the defences that Nicholas Fricke can put up, especially if he relies on tanks, which in the middle here he is going to be rolling out with a Panzerjäger at the start of the game. Now I just had the deployment sped up there for a little bit because it was quite a long one, but off we go. In the mid here, 3 units of rifles backed up by a command infantry. We have recon. A couple more rifle squads heading down to the bottom side. Staghound heading down there. Also another rifle squad, recon. It's pretty standard stuff. Just rifles, recon, command, Cromwell. The Cromwell being supplemented for a Staghound on the bottom side. Nicholas is going to be going for Pak-38, I would assume, with Osttruppen. We got Grenadiers, what looks like going into the town. Actually, it's going to be Osttruppen again. The reason I got a bit caught off guard there was because they already had the veterancy, but that's because the Grenadier back here had already unloaded. Panzerschreck is also going to be brought into the town, but the only thing that's going to be a target of that is the command carrier. But the Panzerjäger might do the job there. Yep, going to be getting that kill pretty early on. 120mm mortar purchased at the start for Nicholas Fricke, which is definitely an expensive artillery piece, but has very high HE, which can be really useful for supplementing these infantry engagements. At the top here we can see the Pak-38 engaging the Cromwell. That's not necessarily what you want to happen, but it looks like YueJin's reversed that out of range of the Pak-38 and is now going to be firing back. So that is good for him. He does have line of sight, actually maybe not. I would assume we might see a fire position attack from then on. But the rifles are trying to make a push here into the Osttruppen of Nicholas Fricke. In the bottom side, we have Osttruppen moving up to try and make some ground. Currently at +1 though for YueJin on this map. Now one thing to look out for is if this command infantry gets pinned by the 120mm mortar, because if it does, then what will likely happen is the Osttruppen can then make other units surrender, like these rifles. On the top side, this Cromwell is being currently smoked off by the 120mm mortar. Nicholas is going to take the time to try and get the Panzerjäger into a good position up here. And that can definitely take on the Cromwell 6 quite easily, especially with the reinforcements of a second one there. Sorry about the zoom in there. I've been having trouble with the camera lately on Steel Division. It seems that when I accidentally clip onto a unit while I'm scrolling in, it will scroll in a lot more than I intend. But either way, Pack 38 there, picking off another Bren carrier. Stag Hound is coming into the centre, and these Stag Hounds, they have a reasonable amount of accuracy, the 5 accuracy there, and that should allow them to take on the Panzerjägers quite nicely. The Panzerjägers are having less armour than the Stag Hounds, but it's relatively even in that the Panzerjäger has more AP to make up for that. Now in this bottom side, a push coming in from YueJin. He's set up attack move orders for his rifles, going to be supporting that with the command carrier there, and the Stag Hound going to be finding the shots onto the Osttruppen as well. The town engagement is slowly falling in favour of Nicholas Fricke, mainly due to the use of this 120mm mortar. In the top side, however, it's going to be the Cromwell 6 that's still engaging these Osttruppen in the open. And the Osttruppen have found the Zuijdalsy. The Zuijdalsy not really in the best cover there. What is likely to happen, 81mm mortar now coming in to help out. That should help suppress some infantry, although currently those shots going into the town. New squad of Osttruppen arriving to reinforce. We also see a 6-pounder rolling in on the top side, which could definitely be used to take out the Panzerjäger quite nicely. So this Osttruppen doesn't really have too much to engage at the moment, just currently going for the rifles there. These rifles do need to be careful because there are multiple squads of Osttruppen that can pin down these rifles, and currently this command infantry is very low on health. However, if it stays alive, then that should be absolutely fine. Osttruppen here engaging the rifles in the open. I believe Nicholas was forced to fall back from these buildings due to the fire support from the Stag Hound and the carrier here. But now he has a Panzerjäger of his own. He doesn't necessarily have to be as scared of this combination of vehicles. So I'd like to see Nicholas try and get this Panzerjäger into position to maybe just kill off the command carrier, if not the Stag Hound. Now in the main town here, these rifles have taken a lot of damage. The engagements are relatively slow though, nobody making too much ground, and YueJin still currently holding the +1. Cromwell 6 also now getting involved, firing those 13 HE shells downrange. 81mm mortar going to be going for the shots towards the Zuijdalsy, keeping the Cromwell 6 actually smoked off. And I'm assuming that's just to keep the Osttruppen alive and allow the Panzerjäger and Pack 38 to remain in position there. But he really needs to find the +1 back, otherwise this game will slowly continue to fall into YueJin's favour. You can see how in the open, more open areas, the 9th, or 1st Panzerner, do really well against the 352nd, whereas in the town, you know, they're struggling a little bit. But with the assistance of the Stag Hound and the command carrier, they might be able to make some ground by pinning down these Osttruppen. What I would like to see though is maybe a 25-pounder be brought in, or just some artillery of some sort, in order to start pinning these Osttruppen. So the Stag Hound there moving up, going to be in range of the Panzerschreck. Panzerschreck revealing itself there. Can it reload in time? No, it cannot. It was killed off. I think that Pack 38 though briefly had line of sight onto the Stag Hound, which was odd. Now the Cromwell 6, however, firing straight onto that, which is forcing the Pack 38 to fall back. So with the Stag Hound not falling back anymore, even though it has its wheels broken, it's going to be firing at this Osttruppen. Now the reason it says tracks broken, by the way, is because this game was played on the old patch before the critical update. in one of the patches. So we're playing with the old criticals and the old system where you can't repair criticals and so on. So this Staghound is kind of out of the game for now, and won't be much use really, other than to prevent maybe armor coming into the town. With the Cromwell 6 here, that's going to be engaging the Osttroopen here. 6-pounder has found a shot onto the Panzerjäger and bailed it out. Staghound engaging the Osttroopen. Things actually falling apart here on the bottom side for Nicholas, as the Panzerjäger does die. Really nice purchase of these 6-pounders actually by YueJin. I think he's brought them in at the perfect time to take on these Panzerjägers, because the Panzerjägers are very brittle. But there we did see a Staghound go down. Nice kill for the Pak 38, I think that was, or either. If not, it was probably one of those Panzerjägers. With the Osttroopen pinned down, I'm just going to be ran down by the Staghound and the carrier there. Grenfjäger aren't found quite yet. Staghound going to be engaging the 81mm mortar. Pak 38 does take out that command carrier. We now see the Cromwell 5 coming out to play. That's going to be supporting some shots onto these Osttroopen. But now 54% territory lead, and YueJin only making ground at this point. Grenfjäger going to be smoking themselves off. 81mm also smoking off the Staghounds. Also, Kubel comes in with the Panzerschreck. I quite like the use of smoke here by Nicholas. Really good idea to try and use a Panzerschreck squad to snipe the Staghound and get it into range with smoke. That's really, really nice. He's only got to be careful though that the YueJin and these rifles don't come up and really cause him some issues. So in the center of the map, Panzer 35. That's going to be firing at the YueJin here on the bottom side. 120mm mortar firing away. Has been reloaded by the Opel Blitz munition. So that's going to be able to do some damage to the rifle squads. But in the open here you can see the rifles are starting to make some ground in the town. I think Nicholas doesn't necessarily have enough infantry to support against this push at the moment. Not if the command carrier here stays alive anyway. But he does have his Panzer 35 and he is moving that into the town. So that will likely find a line of sight onto the command carrier, unless the command carrier is used very well to sneak around. So the Staghound has been moved away down here. The Osttroopen and YueJin having a standoff either side of the smoke. Panzerschreck is still not revealed, so that could find the ambush onto the Staghound. On this top side, the Cromwell 6 is still alive. Not in range of the Pak 38, so that isn't going to be able to take him out anytime soon. But what this Cromwell 6 can do is annihilate these Osttroopen in the open, and then open up the top side of the map for YueJin. So that'd be really, really nice if that occurs. However, Nicholas does have something to say about that, and will be bringing in his Marder 3, which is a very good reply to something like Cromwell 6. Now the Cromwell 6 with its HE can do quite a lot of morale damage to something like a Marder 3, but the Marder 3 can also penetrate the Cromwell quite easily, so if it gets a shot on target then it doesn't really matter. The more infantry being reinforced now, we've moved into phase B. Infantry going to be coming in for Nicholas Fricke to reinforce. Panzerschreck did get found here briefly and did get taken down to 1 health. A Befehl Panzer 3 has been brought in to engage the Staghound. Oh, there's a Pak 38 going down on the bottom side. Sexton going to be getting on the target there with alongside the Cromwell 7 and the Cromwell 5. Didn't really stand a chance. And with that Pak 38 going down actually, this Cromwell might be used to clean up the Befehl Panzer 3, which would be really nice for YueJin. So what can Nicholas do here? Well, he's got to find the kills onto the Cromwell 6s for starters, and he's got to start killing off more of this infantry. And there's a couple ways you can do that. you've got the IGs, of course, and just like other fire support units like these Panzers, would be quite nice actually to start chunking the infantry without the Sextons doing too much, or the 25-pounder here that's being brought in by YueJin. Now this is a really nice play actually from Nicholas. He's rolled up the Pioneers, and these Pioneers have a very good chance of killing off some of these infantry squads if they don't get pinned down because of their 20 HE power grenades. Now they actually haven't used one yet, just unleashing one then. That should do quite a lot of damage to these rifles, taking them down to 1 health there. Really, really nice indeed. And pushing more Pioneers into this town and securing Sainte-Mère-Église would be a really, really good idea at this point. And I feel like Nicholas should maybe invest more into those Pioneers and make that happen. Because currently at the top and bottom side, he's got his work cut out. And it's going to be very, very hard to kill off what is becoming quite overwhelming in terms of this armour. Now the Ju-87 is going to be the unit of choice. Can he find the kill onto the Sexton? That would be beautiful. Tracks broken, ammo explosion. Really, really nice indeed. However, Hurricane Mark 4 going to be rolling in. There is some AA, the flak villing on this truck. Might stop the Ju-87 going down. The Hurricane is coming in for that kill though. Can he find it before he gets pinned? He can! That is a huge kill for YueJin. Really, really important. That Ju-87 going down relieves so much pressure onto his Cromwells for the rest of this game. It pretty much means that he doesn't have to buy AA for now, and that's just really, really nice. He did lose a Sexton, but he traded for the Ju-87, and they're roughly the same price. So that's actually not too bad at all. And YueJin is going to be able to continue to push since his, like I said before, his Cromwells are now pretty much safe. So on this top side, the 25-pounder is still alive, so that's going to be counter-battering the 81mm mortar. Infantry is trying to push across the open up here. Ersatztruppen being brought in to screen for the Panzerjäger and the Marder 3. But this is quite nice from YueJin. He's sneaking forwards a Sherman 5, and if he can get into an ideal range or an angle to engage either of these vehicles one at a time, it might work out really well for him. So the 2-star Sherman 2 can be creeping forwards, going to be engaging the Panzerjäger. Marder 3 can't fire though. He can continue to roll forwards and engage some of this infantry, but what I would like to see there is this Sherman actually take on the Marder 3 on this right side. Here we go. Sherman versus Marder. Sherman forces the Marder 3 to fall back. Still has the range to engage. Has better aim time. And is going to land the shot. Really, really nice job. Bringing in that Sherman. Allowing it to be within the 1,000 meter range comfortably is very important. Because then that 2-star 5 accuracy does the job. Also, the beauty of having a 50 cal with 2 30 cals chews up this infantry very quickly with the help of the Cromwell 6. So that top side, it looks like it's just gone completely in favour of YueJin. However, in the town, things not going particularly great. The Pioneers are being brought in to reinforce here, will do a lot of damage to this infantry, and YueJin's being forced to reinforce. So currently 53% territory lead for YueJin. Now I feel like YueJin, after getting those 2 vehicle kills in his top side, could be very aggressive. He also knows that he killed the Pak 38 here previously. So this is literally very open for him to take. Nicholas does have a Marder 3 on the way. We'll have to see if that changes anything. Now a new 25-pounder has been brought in on the bottom side. Is going to take out the 81mm mortar there, and that's quite nice indeed, as it looks like an Opel Blitz munition was being brought in to resupply that, and now is pretty much completely useless. So that's like 50 points that is not really going to be used very effectively for the rest of the game, because this Opel Blitz munition up here still has 5,000 ammunition. So currently this 10,000 ammunition is wasted. So more infantry piling into the town, and securing the town would be really nice for Nicholas Fricke because it would give him this sort of chunk of land here which would start to level things out. However, we are over 1,000 points now for YueJin, and it's getting to the point of no return for Nicholas Fricke. Now with the support of the 25 pounders, this infantry engagement actually isn't looking as good for YueJin anymore either, because YueJin's artillery has demolished Nicholas's, and now Nicholas can't really support his infantry properly with his own artillery, and that's quite a big deal. Panzer 35 going to be going for a shot onto the Cromwell 6. That engagement is occurring, however the Panzer 35 can't penetrate the Cromwell at maximum range, so that's not ideal. YueJin going to be probably rolling up the Staghound here, maybe get that into a good position to take it on. Cromwell 5, that's going to be engaging the ersatz in the open, and slowly but surely Nicholas is falling apart. His infantry being chewed up by YueJin, and I think it quite simply comes down to the matchup. There is a lot of infantry availability for the 1st Panzerner, as well as decent fire support units like the Staghounds and Cromwells, and it just completely counters the Pak 38 IGs that Nicholas is going to be using. We also saw there, if Nicholas allows the engagement of the Shermans to occur at close range, things like Marders are going to suffer really bad. So currently Nicholas having to fall back with this Marder 3 and get it into a position where he can 1,200 meter range engage the Sherman and the Cromwell. And so far it's not happening. But the Pioneers there, going to blow up another infantry squad. Looks like YueJin's just throwing rifles into the meat grinder here, as the Pioneers are doing a lot of work. Fortunately, a second squad of Pioneer Filler is in place to stop any of these squads surrendering. But there is 2 more Sherman 5s on the field now, so that makes 3, plus a Cromwell 6 at the top side, and we have the Staghound at the bottom. So a rather large armoured presence on the map now for YueJin compared to Nicholas Fricke, and I can imagine the kill death at this moment between the players is very strongly towards YueJin at this moment in time. Now it seems as though Nicholas has just purchased a Jagdpanther. I'm not convinced this is a very good choice at this point. He's very far behind. He's obviously just saved 300 points to purchase a Jagdpanther. Now unless this Jagdpanther can clean up at least 3 Shermans, it's not the right thing to buy. Now these mortars are currently being hit by the 25 pounders of YueJin, still denying the support that they were giving to the infantry here, and you can see that really has made his infantry in the town suffer as YueJin approaches with his own rifle squads here. This command infantry has been alive for a very long time, and that's a double surrender there. Pioneers and the command infantry. So not only is YueJin making ground on the top and bottom side, he's also taken back the town, and that's giving him a +3 at this moment in time. This bottom side being opened up the same way as the top really, with the engagement of the Cromwell 6 across the open, supported by the rifles as they push forwards. The Jagdpanther is going to do a lot of damage to the rifles there, but I definitely think he's looking for an engagement onto the Sherman 5. Now the first shot actually misses. That's quite unlucky. That's a 6 or a 7 accuracy 2-star Jagdpanther. Second shot does hit, and he does have range onto the Cromwell, or at least he did. So that's 1 Sherman. He's got to find another, and then he's got to try and win the game before YueJin counts too many points, because currently 17 minutes and 50 seconds left to make over 1,600 points. And the reason I say 1,600 is because Nicholas is going to need a lead in order to gain a victory per se. We're currently in the bottom side. the infantry is completely falling apart, and with the death of this Osttroopen, that leaves a one-man squad of Grenführer to defend that, and Nicholas Fricke has had enough, and after 22 minutes and 36 seconds, that's going to be YueJin's victory. Major victory there. Really, really well played. And as I expected, the kill death well in favour of YueJin with 1,750 kills to 870. So a really, really nice job from YueJin. Very cookie cutter with the first Panzerner, using things like the Staghound and the Cromwell 6 to support the rifle push early on. And it worked really, really well against Nicholas's 352nd, which doesn't quite have the answers he needs unless those Panzerjägers can find kills onto the Cromwells and the Staghounds early on. Because without those fire support units in place for the first Panzerner, things do actually start to get quite difficult. And I think Nicholas did a good job of harassing YueJin's infantry early on with his mortar. But it just wasn't enough for him to completely capture the town early on and stop the +1 from YueJin, which eventually led to a +2 and so on. So, yeah, I think both players had the right idea. I think bringing in the Panzerjägers was a good idea for Nicholas, but he didn't quite make them pay off against things like the Cromwell 6s and the Staghounds. And this Staghound, I mean, it only got 1 kill. Definitely did quite a lot of damage to other infantry squads, though. This Cromwell 6 did eventually find a kill onto the Flakverling, actually. This Cromwell 6 picking up multiple units of infantry, and then the Cromwell 5 doing the same, also getting the kill onto the Pak 38. Sexton did get a kill onto a Pak 38 before being popped by the Ju-87, but that was a pivotal moment, really. The Hurricane shooting down this 2-star Ju-87. That was very, very nice indeed. The Flakverling not quite doing the job, not keeping the Hurricane at bay. And I believe Nicholas brought in the Flakverling to stop the Ju-87 from being shot down, but it just didn't quite do enough morale damage to the Hurricane quick enough for the Ju-87 to get out alive. And without that Ju-87, after purchasing it, it leaves you with not many options for killing things like the Sherman 5s and the Cromwells, of course. And you can see how much work this Sherman 5 did. Imagine if you had a Ju-87 stopping that from advancing. That would have been not very nice for the first Panzerner. 25-pounder counter-batteried the two 81mm mortars, and that was a very important move as well from YueJin, making sure that he counter-batteried the stuff that was pinning down his infantry. That actually allowed him to make more ground, and it worked out very well indeed. So the Pak 38 there did take out 2 Staghounds. That's very nice. But yeah, I've already stated most of what went on in this game. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the first game in a best of 3 between YueJin and Nicholas Fricke. We will be moving on to game 2 in the next video. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to that, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.